What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Bulls Latest. Your host, Matt Johnson here. I want to kick off today's show talking about a depth chart and a rotation and what it could look like if Josh Giddey does leave the Windy City. Now, I do not expect that to happen like I've talked about in recent episodes here. I do expect the Bulls to lock him up, but you have to ask the questions in the event that he does jump ship there. What happens to this Bulls starting lineup, and how does the rest of the guard rotation fill out if he did exit the Windy City here? The easiest alteration Donovan could make to his first five is simply replacing Giddey with another floor general. You could have a starting five that looks something like this. You could have Trey Jones running the point guard position. You put Kobe at the shooting guard position. Kevin Huerter as your starting small forward. You'd have Modest as your starting power forward there. I do think Modest is going to be a fixture on this team for years to come here. He is the focal point, as we talked about, all the way back dating to the NBA Summer League in Vegas earlier this summer. And then obviously Nikola Vucevic at center. That could even change. So that could shake things up even more if he were to get traded by this year's upcoming trade deadline in mid-February. So we'll see, but that's just the starting five to look at. When you look at Trey Jones, he was more than up to the task of running the Bulls offense. After he was acquired from the Spurs in the trade that sent LaVine to the Kings, he was super productive for this Bulls organization. The five-man lineup of Giddey, White, Huerter, Buzelis, and Vooch was far and away Chicago's best lineup this past year. I've talked about that in previous episodes as well. Jones doesn't possess the same when you look at size that Giddey does, he's not as big of a player, but he's capable of running Donovan's up-tempo show in that type of offense there. Before he suffered a season-ending injury as well, you look at Ayo Dosunmu, he was locked in as the team's sixth man last year. His role shouldn't change, at least as long as he's with the Bulls. Which I expect that to be the case. I think Ayo Dosunmu is going to stick around at least again up until the trade deadline. No telling what the Bulls are going to do in February. So, when you look at Kobe White, he admirably filled Zach LaVine's role that he left as the team's number one offensive option this past year, when the former UCLA star departed. But he's also an underrated combo guard who averaged 4.5 assists in 2024-25. Kobe White had a knack for showing that and distributing the basketball very well. So, he could also slide over and play point guard when Jones exits in favor of Dosunmu. With Lonzo Ball now in Cleveland, Dalen Terry or Javon Carter could see more minutes until the Bulls sign Giddey's replacement. In the event, again, that Josh Giddey does exit, now I don't expect that. Billy Donovan could have some fun playing around with his, the interesting glut of wings in this scenario. Buzelis is expected to take on more playmaking duties this year for sure. Whether Giddey returns or not, I think that is something that you could rest your hat on in that Modest Buzelis is going to be a playmaker in this offense. It is going to be expected to be. I think there's a lot on his shoulders this coming season for a young player. So Buzelis is expected to take one or more playmaking duties this year, whether, this lineup is solidified or not. I think that's a given. So, I just think when you look at a bench lineup, that also includes a pair of wings in Isaac Okoro and Patrick Williams. You got a defensive-minded guard like Ayo, and then one of the Bulls, reserve big men, or as a tantalizing idea, rookie Noah Senge would also be thrown into that mix. It could give Chicago a massive lineup full of athletes and limbs sprouting in all directions there. I think that is a lengthy and athletic group there when you look at some of those guys. I mean, Noah Senge is a freak athlete. We'll see if he grows into his own. Moving into this next season, he could even play a bigger role in Billy Donovan's lineups that he could roll out there. Now, rest assured, I do expect Josh Giddey to be back personally. It's just in the event that he would exit, you have to kind of look at what things would kind of be, chalked in as in terms of lineups. So I wanted to throw that at you guys today to start today's show. And I wanted to kind of shift gears to the EuroBasket tournament going on right now, provide a positive update on Nikola Vucevic. He put on his cape to start the week. The Montenegrin native dominated Sweden in his fourth EuroBasket game to help lift his squad to their first victory of the tournament. He dropped 23 points, 15 rebounds to go along with 4 assists, 3 blocks, and 2 steals in Montenegro's 87-81 victory. Vuce shot 9 of 15 from the floor and drained 3 triples. Without his aggressive effort, Montenegro would be on the brink of missing out on the knockout round altogether. Now they are well positioned to advance along with the 15 other teams there. So they'll make it to the round of 16 more than likely. While the victory was Montenegro's first of EuroBasket 25, their last matchup of group play will be their easiest coming up here. Vucevic will now face off against the Great Britain roster that has arguably been the worst in the tournament. So Great Britain has not looked well at all. They currently hold a point differential of minus 136 after the first 4 contests, and they lost to the Swedish team that Montenegro just beat by 19 points. So I think Montenegro will get that done. Expect another big game from Vuce. If Montenegro can clinch, this will be their 3rd consecutive tournament advancing past the initial stage there. So some positive news and an update about Vuce, and he looks good in prime form playing for them in that competition. Kind of adding to the Nikola Vucevic chatter here, who will land the backup center role this coming year? I think Zach Collins is a great bet for that. I wanted to get into that with you guys to, just kind of talk about the depth at that position. If the end of last season was any indication, Zach Collins definitely has the upper hand in Billy Donovan's eyes. Obviously acquired at the deadline in the Bulls Zach LaVine trade, Collins didn't need long to make a strong impression. I was really high, still very high on this guy. He averaged a stunning 16 points and 9.9 rebounds to go along with 2.4 assists per game during his 7 starts in place of Vucevic, the time that Vuce missed while he was injured at the center position there. The hot play led to him stealing the backup role from Jalen Smith, actually, for the remainder of the season, where he continued to add a needed level of physicality around the rim. Jalen Smith was a guy I was also high on. I haven't talked too much about him in my show, but before, Zach Collins came onto the scene, I thought Jalen Smith was going to have a big role on this roster. That could change this year. I think Zach Collins does definitely have the upper hand when it comes to that backup center role. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you want to see Zach Collins continue to get a lot of tech? Do you think he is a solid option at that spot in the event Vuce even gets dealt? Would Zach Collins suffice as the backup center, eventually becoming the starter here as we move on later in the season? We'll see what happens. But wanted to wrap today's show up with some NBA news, some more EuroBasket chatter. Luka Doncic leads Slovenia into the round of 16 at EuroBasket. He scored 26 points as Slovenia overcame Iceland 87-79 to reach the knockout stage, qualifying France as well along the way. So that win put France past into the round of 16 there. Slovenia also joins Poland, Israel, Poland and Israel, a couple other teams along with France there, advancing from Group D. Spain, the defending champions, are in danger of not getting out of Group C after losing 67-63 to Italy on Tuesday. So that was a big result there for that group. The defending EuroBasket champion Spain does control its destiny still. Spain is tied with Georgia and Bosnia and Herzegovina at 2-2. While Greece and Italy have clinched 2 of the 4 spots in the group for the round of 16 already. Just kind of looking ahead, Georgia plays Bosnia and Herzegovina tomorrow. So if Spain defeats Greece tomorrow, the Spaniards will advance to the knockout stage. The knockout stage will be played in Riga, Latvia from September 6th through the 14th. So that'll be an exciting stretch of basketball there. You got Deni Adija as well, leading Israel into the knockout stage with 22 points in their 92-89 win over Belgium. There's another result there of significance. And then Greece dropped its first Group C game as well, 80-77 to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Giannis Antetokounmpo did sit out for this contest. Nothing injured, nothing to be concerned about if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan, but he did get some rest there in Greece's narrow defeat there to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Exciting ball being played at this tournament. I'm really excited to continue to watch this tournament, see what Vuce has to offer, as well as some of these other NBA superstars. So definitely something you're going to want to tune into. It's very high-level basketball for the beginning of September, just a few weeks away from the NBA preseason kicking off. So as always, I want to thank you guys for joining me on another episode of Bulls Latest. Let me know what you think in the comments about this EuroBasket tournament. Does it provide optimism for you that Vuce is going to start off strong in the Bulls uniform? What are some lineup combinations you'd like to see the Bulls put together moving forward? And then do you think it truly is realistic that Josh Giddey could exit the Chicago Bulls organization next year? I mean, I want to know what the gist is around Bulls fans overall. So thanks again, guys, for joining me on another episode of Bulls Latest today, and we will see you guys tomorrow.